Hello everyone. I'm Alfonso Carnicero, co-founder of ABLE Human Motion, which is a startup from Barcelona that develops lightweight and accessible exoskeletons to work again. Today, I'm here at CEN with Jose and Cristina and our friends at the CEN, trying our EXO in combination with another system that is the Ryzen from Motec. So, Jose, hello again.
Hello. How are you?
Very good. So here we have Pau, no?
Yes. Pau was presented before to all of you. And now he has the Ryzen. And they are going to start. What we are going to do like a typical session that we do, okay? So you can continue. You don't have to stop.
We'll bring the exoskeleton.
And we are going to do like a typical session that we do normally here. Now you're going to see how the exoskeleton is set up on Pau.
Espera, no. Okay. This exoskeleton is still under development as we are running clinical trials in Germany and Spain, in the Heidelberg University Hospital, and in Spain in Institute Guttmann. And we are using all the information from those clinical studies and the tests that we do, for example, here at CEN, to learn about the product and improve the exoskeleton so it can perform better functions on our patients. Our idea is that we can close the development, freeze the development of the device during the next year, so we can start the regulatory process and start the commercialization in Europe in early 2023. So, let's go. Vale, pues lo levantamos un momento y ponemos el EXO. Okay.
Well, as you can see, doing the standing up with the Ryzen is much easier than in other circumstances. ¿Tienes visitas?
What we have seen is that it's beneficial that those patients that use the device the first sessions use it in combination with the Ryzen system, because then it provides additional safety and security that allows the patient to feel safe and to really try to enjoy the rehabilitation session, so he can try to do his best, perform the movements as natural as possible, and focus on learning to use the exoskeleton while he's totally safe. And then afterwards, we take away the Ryzen system, we take this bodyweight support, and we just continue the rehabilitation with exoskeleton indoors, and then afterwards outdoors, and our goal is that it can also be used at home. Okay, so now we will adjust the exoskeleton to Pau.
This is quite easy to adjust, right, Alphonse?
Yes.
It's quite...
Yeah, this is something that we have worked on, so we want our therapists and our patients to take the most of the rehabilitation sessions. So, for example, all the adjustments are made using these pins, these pin locks, that can be adjusted without any tool. So you just move the parts of the exoskeleton to adapt it to the patient, and then you fix using this pin lock. Sí. Okay. Ahora lo pido.
Sí, ahora sí.
So far, the device has been tested in 75 paraplegic patients, both complete and incomplete. And also from different injury levels. So we have tested from cervical 6 injuries up to lumbar injuries. Okay, so now everything is set, and we will proceed with the standing upright. Now the exoskeleton is looking for its safe position to stand up. Pots tirar el cul una mica endavant? Ahí. Vale. Ya está. Okay. And now we will proceed with the standing upright. We will do so by using these 2 push buttons that we have in the back of the exoskeleton. So when Pau is ready, we will proceed with the standing up. Vale, Pau, ¿estás preparado? Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Okay. So now we will find balance, we will find the right posture for Pau. We will probably fit a bit better the belt also.
Also, at the same time, we are controlling the weight support that Pau has. And in this case, with the Ryzen, we have different options. We have the stand-up mode, but then we have the walk-in, sit-down, balance, and stairs mode. So in this case, we used the stand-up mode at the beginning, and now we changed to the walk-in mode. He's having now 20% of his body weight support supported by the machine, and he doesn't have any horizontal help, because with this device you can do both. You can do vertical support and horizontal support.
And now we will start doing the first steps using the manual mode, which means that the therapist clicks the 2 push buttons to trigger each of the steps. Afterwards, when he has learned the technique, we will move into automatic mode, where the steps will be triggered by his own motion. We will see it later. Vale, Pau, comencem a la dreta. Vale, ja. Vale. Vas bé? Vale,
Also, before starting with this session, Pau came like an hour ago, and then we did some preparatory activities. So Pau is not starting today his session from here, but he already did some of these preparatory activities for the trunk control and the strengthening of the lower limbs and regulation of the muscle tone before starting with this activity.
Okay, we'll keep going. Pau, we'll start with the right one. Okay. Wait a second.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Then also the experience that we are getting using the combination of the Ryzen and the exoskeleton at the same time is that for many patients, it's easier and faster to get used to the movement, right? So normally, especially those with levels of injury very high and less trunk control, they have a lot of problems at the beginning, starting to be able to regulate, to control the posture at the same time that they are walking. But with the Ryzen, we have seen that process is faster.
Yeah, and Pau can solely focus on learning how to trigger each of these steps, learning the technique, and then we can take out the Ryzen and he can continue the therapy. Vale, anem amb l'esquerra.
What we normally say is that once the patient is here, he's like in a safe environment. So we know, he knows, and we know that he's not going to fall down, that he's safe, and that nothing wrong is going to happen. In that situation, the patient is giving his best, and we can try, a lot of things, knowing that nothing bad is going to happen.
Ok. Left. Esquerra. Vale, anem girant cap a la dreta. Sí. Seguim igual. Molt bé. Ok. Now, Joan, we will change to automatic mode. Okay, so
Also, during the session, we can give more support, weight support, or less support, or we can also use these horizontal forces to give the patient a little bit more resistance by putting like a negative force backwards or assistance forwards by giving some positive force.
now we will change the control mode of the exoskeleton from manual, where I was triggering the steps, to automatic walking. This means that the steps will be triggered by the motion of Pau, specifically for the movement of the center of gravity of his body. So when the center of gravity of his body moves forward, then the exoskeleton will trigger the step of the leg that is backwards. We will see it now with Pau. Ok. Hem de fer una primera passa o alguna cosa? Ok. Comencem amb la dreta, Pau? Com? Vale. No. Ok. Ok. Okay, you see when Pau moves his body forward, then the step is triggered. Now we can see some spasticity that is making the legs to cross a bit, but with the movement we will improve that spasticity. You can see. Okay, wait a bit. There? Okay. Okay, Alicia, if you want, we can also try from you. Okay, we can continue. Vale, esquerra, seguim. Ahora la siguiente. Molt bé, girem una mica cap a la dreta. Ok. Good job. Ara tirem... Vale, esquerra. Okay. Good job. Now we are turning. Well done. Okay. Wait 1 second here. Okay, Alicia, if you can come, and you will, we will change the walker for a therapist, and I will go out. So now, Alicia, you will be in charge of the session with Pau. Okay, Pau. Very well? Okay, let's start. Yeah. Okay, well done.
In this case, changing also the walking frame
Wait a bit.
for a therapist,
Okay, now.
it is more difficult for Pau because he cannot use his upper limbs
Let's do another one with the left.
to maintain the posture.
Aye.
And now he's straighter, but at the same time he's
Tiramos
not
atrás un momento.
pushing or pulling too
Okay.
much with his arms.
Seguimos. Okay. Now he's working on this body posture in another way. So instead of using his arms to control it, now he's trying to balance with his own body. Okay. Dreta? Molt bé. Una mica més endavant. Ahí. Ahí. Tira una mica el cor endavant. Molt bé. Una mica més. Molt bé. Repetirem una altra amb l'esquerra, vale? Vale. Ok. Molt bé. Respiramos un poquito. Ok. Now you can see how he's able to use it just with one hand, holding just one hand in Alicia. Separem una mica aquesta.
That's right. So that's the progression that we want to get, that he's getting less and less support with his arms.
Venga. Molt bé. ¿Queréis que probemos de sacarlo del Ryzen ahora?
Okay. We were discussing before also about the spasticity and muscle regulation tone problems that most of patients like Pau, they have. And in this case, it's like Alphonse also said before, when he's training with exoskeleton, or like we discussed before, when he's training on the Locomat, we can see that there is a muscle tone regulation. But what happens with many of these patients is that normally they don't have the possibility to train as much as they do when they are walking with an exoskeleton or with the Locomat. So that muscle tone regulation that comes also from the activity, from being in standing, weight bearing on the legs, and then also from the voluntary action of trying to make the step doesn't happen. So they don't have this muscle tone regulation.
Molt bé. Ara anirem girant, eh? Fico la cama un altre cop al darrere, esquerra. Ara. Molt bé, anem girant. Tornem a repetir amb l'esquerra. Espera un segon. Vale, tirem una mica enrere. Vale, esquerra. Més, una esquerra. Good job. Sí? Okay. Now we will stop and we will take out the bodyweight support system, the Ryzen, and continue the therapies Overground without it. ¿Vas bien? ¿No? Vale. Alicia, ¿quieres seguir tú desde delante?
It's easy because we only have to take this part away, but he can continue wearing the harness, which is also giving him some stability on the trunk.
In the beginning, I will also try to give a little bit of push from behind, and later he will continue with Alicia. Okay, so we will start with the left. Well done. Wait, David. Ahora. We can also see the fatigue, no? With the legs. Okay,
That's
we'll
right.
repeat with the left one, esquerra.
So our idea always when we do a treatment is that patients can bring, to their own environments what they train here at the clinic. So, and that it is sometimes, especially with exoskeletons, very difficult because no one can bring the Locomat home, right? Or only a few. but it's not something that you can use in your normal environment. With exoskeleton, supposedly you can, but normally they are so expensive that most of patients can't afford. So in this case, ABLE is, closing that gap, because more patients are going to be able to bring this to their own homes and to continue rehabilitation or to integrate these into their daily lives.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So this is why we now are in a phase working very closely with clinical institutions, with rehabilitation centers, because we want to learn as much as possible and we want our device to be used by as much possible patients as possible. But our long-term mission is to bring autonomy in the real life, in the daily lives of all these patients. So we are working very hard to reduce the price of this technology, to make it accessible for the most part of the patients. We will continue training with Pau. So Pau, amb la dreta. This prototype that you can see here today is the 6th iteration that we do with the device. So what we have done these years is to develop prototypes, test it very quickly with patients, learn, and keep iterating. So, because in the beginning, for example, we had a prototype that was very useful, but just for a specific case of patient. So now what we have done is test with individuals with different injuries. And now we are able to assist patients with such a diverse impairment, such as cervical patients, incomplete patients, complete. So this is our goal. No? We want to really enable mobility for everyone. Damos la vuelta aquí, ¿vale? Sí, fem la volta així, ¿vale? Un segon. Vas bé, Pau?
Then there is another important fact that we discussed before is about medication that normally these patients have. They normally take antispasticity medication like baclofen. Okay, so this is, of course, trying to improve the muscle tone regulation on the legs, but on the other hand, is also worsening the trunk control, for example. So one of the main goals that we also have is always to decrease that medication because it's going to affect positively to all different body parts, right? So in this case, we are also starting to reduce the medication that Pau is taking, and that's also going to affect positively to his trunk control.
Vale. On vulguis, Pau. Sí. Sí, el last? Un moment. Wait a moment. So now Pau will use the walker. We'll try him to continue the session autonomously using the walker. Okay, we'll start with the right one. Okay. No? Right. Okay. Okay. Hem de tirar el cos una mica més endavant. Aquí. Molt bé. Una mica més endavant. Molt bé. Vale, tranqui, descansa. Okay. You can see that sometimes we see spasms, so what we do is we stop a bit, we allow the spasm to relax, and now we continue. Vale, comencem amb l'esquerra, Pau. Okay. Intenta tirar el cos una mica més endavant. Així. Que vas molt tirat enrere. Jo? Espera, un segon. Sí. Vale, ara sí, jo. Te la tiro jo, esquerra. No. Yeah, the level of spasticity has been increasing.
Well, many times we experience this when the patient is getting tired and then the muscle is really, not able to control that muscle tone, and we need to sit down and make a break, right?
Yeah.
Or sometimes we just need to let the patient to have some minutes in standing and then to continue.
Yeah, in fact, it's just
Let's
the second time that Pau tries the device, so it's also a matter of continue this intensive training. And
Of course, for Pau, it's not the same to do the normal session here with us than to be with a camera next to him. That's always that,
But he's doing very well, eh? Vale, pues continuarem amb l'esquerra, Pau. Sí, sí. Vale. Esquerra, ¿vale?
Vamos a la camilla.
Ahí? Sí. Left one. Okay. Good job. Well done. Era a poc, tu manes. Molt bé.
Okay, so we know that there are some questions about if Pau feels more confident, safe when he's walking with the walking frame or with another therapist or with the Ryzen or without the Ryzen. Okay, so we are going to ask Pau in a few minutes. When he's sitting down, you can tell us, Pau.
Nice. Okay, now we'll turn a little exactly to the right. Perfect, Pau. One more. Espera, tirem enrere. Vale, ara tirem una endavant. Una més. One more, endavant. Okay. Good job. Una més a la dreta. Okay.
Adelantamos un poquito la camilla.
Sí. Ok. Així, exacte. Vale, doncs vinga, sentem en 3, 2, 1.
So we are going to ask Pau about that. Pau, ¿cómo te sientes más seguro? ¿Con el Ryzen o sin él o no sientes mucha diferencia?
No se siente mucha diferencia, pero con el Ryzen siempre estás las primeras veces y que más seguro de no caer al suelo y de más tranquilidad para tú poder soltarte más.
So the first times that he was, because this is already not the first time that he is trying this, but the first times he was saying that he felt more confident with the Ryzen on.
Yeah, also what we have seen is that the amount of force that they apply with the upper body, with the arms, is lower when after the training with the Ryzen. So, because they get used to put all the body weight in the exoskeleton because they are very safe and they can be completely upright, so they are safe with this body weight support system. And then this allows, when they use the walker without the body weight support system, to put less effort in the arms.
¿Notas mucha diferencia entre caminar con el andador a caminar con una persona o con una mano menos?
No, siempre te da más seguridad una persona, pero
Okay.
con el andador es suficiente porque el exoesqueleto te aguanta suficiente.
Yeah, I was asking him if he feels a lot of difference between the walking frame and a person in front of him. He was saying, well, a person gives you more confidence, right, than the walking frame. But in any case, you feel very safe with the exoskeleton because it's holding you also against gravity. So, ¿y cuándo sientes que haces más fuerza con los brazos? ¿Cuando estás con el andador o cuando estás con una persona?
Puede ser que con la persona,
Haces más fuerza con los brazos.
porque a lo mejor esto también es más firme y la posición es más baja y a lo mejor hago menos fuerza con el hombro.
Okay, good. So in this case, I was asking him, do you feel that you're using more your arms when you're with the walking frame or with the person? And he was saying, well, in this case, I feel that I'm using more my arms when I am with the person because with a walking frame, he feels like it's more unstable than the person. So in this case, that would be something that we have to take in mind, is in case that we feel also the pressure that he's making on our shoulders, and to try to give him some feedback about, okay, don't push so hard with your arms, or try to release your left or right arm and try to do it in another ways. Or at the end, to do it without any support of the arms, right?
Yeah, also in fact, the goal is that after using the walking with more rehabilitation, with more therapy, he's able also to walk with crutches, with the exoskeleton. And our goal is to provide this technology so he can use it with very little effort from the therapist. Because now, as it was still the first sessions with the exoskeleton, I was still always behind him, trying to help him with balance. But with time, with training, they learn to use this device, and we have seen it in many patients that they later on they are able to use it just with the crutches, with very little support on their arms.
Yeah. Also, I can ask him now, about the motivation that we were discussing before when someone is doing an intensive therapy treatment, and we can get also his feedback. Pau, estábamos antes preguntaban sobre el tema de la motivación, porque claro, para que alguien venga muchas horas o vaya a un centro a hacer muchas horas de rehabilitación, tiene que tener mucha motivación, ¿no? Para que se venga desde Mallorca hasta Madrid, para que cambie todo, ¿no? ¿Qué crees tú que puede, de todas las cosas que tú estás haciendo, influir más en tu motivación? Para bien, me refiero, de qué te motiva más o qué te hace que estés más motivado.
De aquí es que tienen mucha infraestructura, digamos, o muchos métodos para conseguir lo que queremos y que todo el tiempo vamos cambiando de ejercicios, de maquinaria y que es uno de los mejores sitios para mí.
Thank you. So he was explaining that the variability in the training to be able to do different things, that and also to be able to, for example, to be standing, walking with the exoskeleton, with the locomat, with the weight support system, but not only that, because before that or after that, he's doing other exercises with other devices or not, and this variability is what's is also keeping the motivation high.
I think there was a question also about how the steps were triggered, if it was Pau or me, the one that was triggering the steps. So in the beginning it was me because we were showing the manual mode. So this is a mode where the therapist from behind, from the back of the exoskeleton, can trigger the steps, triggering each of the push buttons that there is in this back. But later, we have tried the automatic mode. In this mode, what we do is the patient move his center of mass from behind to forward. So when this center of mass is put forward, then the step of the leg that is backwards is triggered. So the step motion starts. And the same happens again. So when you put all your weight into the frontal leg and you move your center of gravity forward, then the step is triggered, and this all the time. So it was Pau who was initiating each of these steps. And all these parameters, or all these little details that change the way the exoskeleton works, can be adjusted using a mobile app that we have developed, and I can show you here. For example, here now we see the metrics of this session. So how many steps Pau has done. We can see that he has walked almost 100 meters. He has done almost 300 steps. We can also check the symmetry. Sometimes we see patients that can have better capabilities with with one side, and this can be seen here. So, for example, how long are the right steps versus the left ones? All this is monitored, and then we also, from this mobile app, we can track the rehabilitation sessions of this patient to see his evolution and to try to personalize, to individualize these therapy sessions, the future sessions, to these specific patients.
Well, I think that there are no more questions, so we can also talk about a little bit our perspective, our opinions that we have discussed already. But in this case, as a conclusion, we have worked with a lot of people with spinal cord injuries, and they came from different places where they told them, okay, there is nothing else you can do, okay? And sometimes in those places, they haven't done, all the things that can be done. They haven't done an intensive therapy, they haven't been practicing a lot, walking, they haven't been strengthening, so they have been, like I said at the beginning of the presentation, like a more compensatory approach. In this case, we have experienced that many of those patients, they have more capacities than they thought, okay, and they can improve much more than they told them. But how? Well, the only way is increasing practice, because we know that intensity matters. And we know that in many patients, to increase this intensity, we need the support of some technology. We need some weight support systems. We need some N-effector devices or exoskeleton devices to help them to practice much more. And it is not only about that. As we discussed, also is combined with aerobic training, with strengthening activities, with functional activities. It has to be goal-oriented. But then we need also to believe in patients' capacity, because in many places, I think the main problem is that we don't believe in patients, and we need to believe in them. We need to believe in them. We need to do as much as we can to explore all the possibilities they have. We do that, and we have been surprised by the results. You can also see the presentation that we did yesterday. There is another patient that had a tremendous improvement, and there are, more and more and more every month, every year. So we need to continue working hard on this intensity, and we need to provide the best rehabilitation possible to our patients, clients. So in this case, we thank a lot ABLE for making this possible, because we started working together more or less at the same time. Well, they are a little bit older than we are, 1 year older, but we have been, improving together, and we are now in a point very motivating for us, because we see that there are many applications. We are also exploring new applications with other patients, not only spinal cord injury patients, and not only adults, but also pediatrics. So, and I think that we can get much more than we think. We just need to give them the opportunity.
That's absolutely true, and we are super excited to keep working with centers like the CEN, because we see that we are in the same mode. They are also a startup somehow, so you can feel this energy when you come here to the center. It's a lot of young people willing to do things better, so trying to do their most. And we feel the same, and we are on the same mission. So we are working for the benefit of patients, and we are working very hard together, clinicians, engineers, and patients, to have a better future, a future where everybody can walk again without the need of being walk everywhere and how they want. Also, I think that Martina had a question. I don't know if we can put it here. Yeah? Hello, Martina. Do you hear us?
Yes, sorry. So the question that I was wondering is, so the app that you showed us, that's only the ABLE, right?
Yes, yes.
But there was it said something that there was a body weight support of 20%.
Yeah.
So so you have body weight support from the Ryzen, but also from the ABLE?
No, the bodyweight support was from the Ryzen. That was another mobile app that comes together with the Motec system, with the Ryzen.
But I thought in the app that you, so did I see this wrongly? Because I thought I saw that there was 20% body weight support in your app that you showed us. You showed us the screen of your app.
Yeah, but no, I just show you some metrics. I can show you some parameters, but not the body weight support. So we can change, for example.
Then I saw that wrong.
Exactly.
So how much body weight support did you provide now during the session with the Ryzen then?
20%. So
Yeah.
the other application is the one that I showed that is controlling the Ryzen, and it was 20% of the body weight support. Yeah.
So then my question is a bit, and this goes back to the locomotor training principles that we discussed before. Why do you choose to only use 20% body weight support with the Ryzen, but also use a walker or a person? Why would you not increase the body weight support, so unload more through the trunk rather than through the arms, and have more loading through the trunk and more loading through the legs rather than through the arms? What makes you decide that? Because I would expect if you follow locomotor training principles that you prefer unloading a little bit more through the rise and through the trunk, but then leaving the walker away.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and you're right. So we do different variations, but at the beginning we normally use the walking frame because patients, they feel like more comfortable that without anything to hold on. But yes, that will be another progression of the treatment where you are increasing the weight support and then giving the patient the opportunity to walk without any support.
We did so. With Berta,
yes,
another patient, we did so, and we put the maximum body weight support from the Ryzen in order to try to stabilize her and reduce the force that they have to apply to the walker. In that case, was a tetraplegic patient that was not capable of applying a lot of force with the arm. So this is why also we increased the force from the body weight support from the Ryzen, and we achieved great results.
But that would be the goal. Yes, you're right, Martina, because we were discussing when we started thinking about the combination of Ryzen and the exoskeleton, we thought, okay, when you use an exoskeleton, you always see that the patient is holding a walking frame or some crutches, right?
Yep.
But we thought, okay, and what if the patient is not holding anything, right? Well, sometimes they're going to be like too overwhelmed, right? So, but if we give them something that is giving them confidence, because it's giving them some support, and they know that they cannot fall down to the ground, but they're going to be, holding in the air, so then they maybe can start trying that. So you're totally right, Martina, and that's something that we should...
In fact, the other day, we were doing with one patient also with just a stick, because he was so stable with the Ryzen that just using a stick, he was able to walk. So yeah, it's absolutely true. Also, in today's session, what we have tried is to show the progress from using a body weight support system to walking over ground just with the exoskeleton. But you are absolutely right, Martina.
If there are no more questions, we would like to thank, of course, Paul for being here today, and we also want to thank you all for being there. If you're now with the live session, or if you watch the session afterwards at home, you can always write us. You can write Alphonse, you can write me and tell us your doubts and questions and ideas, and give us some feedback like Martina, because we are always, trying to improve what we do. And we are always happy with people giving us feedback and giving us ideas. So thank you very much for attending this session.
Yeah.
And we
I
hope
want
that we
to-
can meet again next year in Rotterdam, but
Yes.
live, and then we can go out at night and have some drinks together, which is better than to be here, right? And in front of a computer or a camera.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for being today live on a Saturday morning. So thank you very much. And I also encourage all the clinical researchers, all the hospitals that are seeing us to collaborate with us, to collaborate with Jose, because we are willing to build partnerships in order to provide better technology for the patients. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Have a
guys
nice
so
day.
much. That was really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.